Hi, and welcome. Welcome, dear beautiful spiritual seeker and psychic awakener. It's Psychic Cynthia here, spiritual psychic Cynthia Killian. Do you feel your path calling out to you? Do you feel a stirring within you? Is there just something you know that you're called to do or be, or that you find that you are inside, but you feel like you're not expressing it? Well, start listening. Start listening to your path. If you hear your path calling out to you, if you feel it, lean into that. Listen to that. Don't make excuses or rationalizations about why you can't lean into that path. I mean, for example, many people who connect with me in classes and readings and social media, they tell me, not all of them, but some, a certain percent of these, wonderful souls like you that I'm connecting with, they tell me that they too have psychic inclinations of their own, psychic aptitudes or gifts, psychic leanings. Um, but yet they've never developed it or followed it, even though they feel it is strong within them. And they know it's part of them. And, they just haven't. They just haven't. And in all fairness, sometimes that's because, whatever the path, it could be something else totally different, by the way, not just psychic ability. It could be, you have a musical leaning. Or, I don't know, it could be a tech leaning, or, I don't know. There's something within you, a path that's calling out to you. It could be a path of adventure, of travel. This isn't just a passing whim, though. I'm talking about your path that's calling out to you. And you can feel it. And you can feel that when this happens, it actually doesn't just happen once. Your path just keeps calling to you until you listen. That's the point of this video, okay? That's why I'm saying listen. And in all fairness, as I started to say, sometimes we don't know what to do about it. Like when we first start hearing it. So we ignore it. I mean, have you done that? Do you hear your path calling out to you? So do you keep pushing it aside to create some other facade of a life that isn't you? Don't do that. Don't do that. Sure, we all have to pay our bills, unless we have somebody to do it for us, or take care of the kids, or just, do whatever we have to do to survive. But there's something beyond that. And that's what I mean is your path. And I will say, if you're caught in survival mode, it's very hard to think about how you would open to your path. But at first, don't think about that. Like, don't think about how you're going to do it. Just concentrate on opening to your path. Listening, hearing. Because here's the thing, I mean, if your path is calling to you and you don't listen, it will keep calling to you and it will nag you and it will keep coming back. And then if you don't listen over a period of a long time, you start to get filled with regret and, a sense of disappointment in yourself in life. And then that drags you down, and then it's even harder to open to your path. So especially you who are younger listening to this, if you're younger in your earthly years at least, I hope there are some of you, and I hope you'll listen. I hope you'll listen when you're younger, and I hope you'll open when you're younger, so you don't get that drag effect that so many older people get. And if you're older and you have that drag effect, the good news is, you can unravel that by starting to listen now, by starting to follow your path. Whether that true path is you're being called to open your psychic abilities, like many of the people that I connect with here are. Maybe you're being called to pursue the healing path. Maybe you're being called to pursue an artistic path, a musical path, a path of adventure, climbing rocks or running marathons, or, dancing, or I don't know what the path is for you, but I know that your heart knows. And I know that it's singing to you, it's calling out to you. And it's good to listen. That's the point of this message today. It's good to listen. And if you don't know what the next step is, focus on listening. That is the next step. Focusing on open to the path. The more you open to the path, your unique path, the more you will get little signs and nudges. You will be led. You will be led to the next step and the next step and the next step. Now, you won't probably see all the steps all at once. And I think everybody wants the path to happen all at once when they're new to their path. And there's a sense of impatience and urgency. And, if you're older, I get that because maybe you don't have as much time left on this earth. But, still, it doesn't have to happen all at once, okay? And you need to give yourself time to concentrate on the opening, and also time to be a beginner. I've opened to my paths. That's with an S, Paths. I mean, it's all one path, but it's a path with a vibrant energy and different faucets, let's say, different extensions. And so at different stages and opening to different parts of my path, I've always been a beginner again. Anytime you learn something new as it relates to your core path, you are a beginner again. And so be willing to be humble, to be a beginner, to not do things perfectly. Be willing to do things bad at first. Because, of course, if you're new to a path, you might have some beginner's luck and you might even be a natural, but that will only take you so far. And you really have to get on the path and develop some kind of knowledge, experience. Actually, experience is how you really get wisdom, but you have to get practice. That's what I'm saying. And of course, you're not going to be too great at first compared to those who have been on it a long time in most cases. Are there exceptions? Of course, there's always exceptions to every concept. But I do find when, connecting with clients and students and even friends that the biggest obstacle to really going anywhere once you get on the path is, being afraid to be a beginner, being afraid to, I don't want to say fail, but being afraid to not do things well. I'll never forget years ago, I was in some of my first dance classes. And yes, that's part of my path too, is that I wanted to study dance and express in that way. And I didn't get to do that in childhood, so I went back in my late 30s. Okay, and that's pretty intense, okay? That's pretty old for starting with dance, but I did do it. And I took various kinds of dance classes, including very traditional ballet. But this wasn't a ballet class. I think I was in a flamenco class, and I did a little bit of flamenco. Not a lot, okay? I don't consider myself a flamenco dancer, but it was fun to do a year or two of it. But I'll never forget that first flamenco class, and there were a couple of ladies who came in, and they were adults like me. We were all adults. And I don't know, I bet they were more experienced with dance than me because I had like none almost. And no training, I'm saying. I mean, I dance out, at home or whatever, but that's completely different. But anyway, we were going over some basic flamenco footwork, and I mean very basic. And of course it's hard because it's the first time you're doing it. And one of those ladies got very upset that she couldn't do it. And she actually left the class crying. And I felt so bad for her. Like, she ran out of the class crying because she just couldn't do it. And the teacher was not particularly mean to her, okay? She was mean to herself. And that's where we stop ourselves. Like, if you get started on your path, don't stop yourself by being too perfectionistic. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be as good as anybody else. You just have to be the best on your path. Your path, actually. You just have to be on your path. Once you're on your path and you're doing it, you're automatically the best on that path. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it's your unique path. Now, if you try to do your path like somebody else's path, and you get into this whole mind game of ego and competition, then that's another kind of drag that will drag you down. Trying to keep up with the Joneses, whoever you think they are, trying to compete. I'm not saying you can't have a little healthy competition with your friends if that's something fun you do. I'm not talking about that kind of competition. I'm talking about the egoistic competition where you feel like you have to make yourself better than anybody. You're already perfect inside. So, why try to make yourself better than anybody or worse than anybody either? It's the same thing, really. So those are some thoughts for you as I think about all of you getting on your path, answering the call, And maybe even more important than getting on the path is staying on the path and not letting yourself get, tripped up in that, ego perfectionistic quest. Okay? Um, and not letting yourself get stopped because you don't think you're good enough. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's about doing it for your path. It's not, you're trying to prove something to somebody else. I hope. Not if it's your true path, it's not. Our true paths are not about trying to prove something to somebody else. That's why they keep calling to us. Okay? That's why your path keeps calling, because it's true, it's authentic, it's real for you. Alrighty, well, I hope you found this helpful. And listen, if you are on the path of psychic awakening, developing, connecting, and you want to participate with a teacher, or I don't even want to use the word teacher, mentor, let's say that. We could use the word teacher, but I like the word mentor. Fellow traveler on the path. If you want to participate with a fellow traveler on the path, I will soon be launching a small group program. And stay posted to my various social media channels for more info about that. But more importantly, hear the call, stay on your path, get on your path, and just stay on it and follow where it leads you. Until next time, bright blessings to you all.